Oh, wait a minute, hold on.
Oh, Patty's got glasses.
I'm blind without him.
All right, doesn't matter if we don't see us. I mean,
No, no.
I can't, it's not really, I'm
Well,
not.
they can see us.
We'll just tell you, because we'd like to get all of you in the frame, so we can tell you to move your, move back and where to sit if you can't see
Okay.
yourself.
Oh, I see.
So shall I sit on the couch with the four of you?
My microphone's muted? No. It is muted. It's not that.
No, you're not muted. I can hear you.
Okay.
Was that Lincoln we saw?
Yeah, that was Lincoln.
So Lincoln is linked in.
He is. You're so funny. That's Uncle Rich. He's so funny. Want to say hello one more time? Say hi, everybody.
Namir, you're recorded, right?
I'm recording already, yes. All right. Lincoln's not allowed any screens, so I got to turn that away from him.
All right, I cannot find what you, the thing for,
Okay, that's right. If you, are you gonna kind of all sit up together so we can all get you on view?
What would the four of us will
we'll
sit?
all sit here.
Yeah, we'd like to be able to get all of you at the same time.
Okay.
You want me to move this
Yeah,
way?
yeah, it doesn't matter.
Which way?
What doesn't matter.
Okay, that make it easy.
Okay.
I can't find the thing that says to let everybody in.
You clicked on the 4 squares and nothing happened?
It's,
With your-
is it 4 squares and 1 square is crooked, like it's,
No, it's just like one, like a big square divided into 4 squares.
yeah, but we have 4, I have that, but the top right square is crooked.
Cook it.
It's a crooked square.
Do you have your
People-
phone? I'm gonna take a picture of what I see. I'll show you what mine looks like. Okay. See, I just sent you a picture on your phone.
Looks like he has red hair.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Blinking and nod.
Does he have red hair?
This is muted.
Yes.
A little ginger.
Hold on a second. I have to get out of this stupid thing. I don't have it. Did you send, who'd you send it to me? A text
It hasn't
message?
sent yet. It hasn't sent yet. It's going.
Oh, okay.
Going. Come on.
Yeah, it's got like this much left.
So, Mom, now you're black. I can't see Mommy at all. She's
Yeah,
black.
your screen went black, Mama.
What, do you see Tommy?
I don't see anybody.
Was Uncle
Yeah.
Tommy on his own screen?
Your screen's totally black for some reason.
The four of us are sitting together on a couch.
Yeah, there you are, Mom. You just opened your screen again. You're good.
Oh, okay.
Now we
Yeah, I
can
don't know.
see.
My text is not completely sending. I don't know why.
It might be because she's on the TV.
Okay, I just got it. No, I don't have that kind of square.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
No.
For him,
Maybe because the iPad is different.
Could be.
Yeah, because I couldn't do it on my phone. I didn't have the view button on my
I
phone.
got it. Whatever she sent, I see here.
Yeah, I know, but I don't have that on here.
I can't even make it bigger.
Okay, so we'll have to suffice with this.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Well, yeah, can you move your iPad down, the top down a little bit so we can see your faces? We just see the top of your heads.
Is that better? What do you think?
No, now we see the ceiling.
Oh, okay, so you want it this way.
Yeah, much
Yeah.
better.
Now we can see you
Do you have
guys.
do you have a thingy?
I don't know how to work it.
Okay.
It's not gonna stay.
There you go.
How's that?
Yeah, that's better.
See all of us?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh,
Oh my gosh, this is great. This is what we wanted. Hi, guys.
Yeah, I just ate nuts. I gotta get the nuts out of my teeth.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm the youngest-
so let me just get in here.
I'm the youngest one here.
I'm the oldest.
So am I, Uncle Rich. No, actually, Sarah's here and Lincoln. I'm not.
How are we doing this now?
I'm done. So, well, this is kind of what we wanted to do. We wanted it to really be fluid and just kind of develop how it develops. We wanted to kind of hear your experiences growing up, to kind of get an idea of what your guys' life was like, and then get more insight into Noni and Poppy. So those are some of our goals. And we thought we would just try to preserve the history, the family history through this. So ultimately, we were going to take Michael's baseball ones that he did with Poppy, the stuff that Uncle Tommy has, that we can convert and just kind of put it all in one spot. So we have it all together.
Sounds like a plan.
So that sound like a plan? So we thought today we would start with just kind of a general open-ended, like we want to know what it was like growing up. And Mom, you gave me the idea, talking to you the other day, of like the dinner table. So we thought we would talk about, we lost Uncle Tommy for some reason. I don't know what happened. Did your view change? There you go. That's good. All right. So maybe we could start there and talk about like what was everyday life like for you guys, and then kind of sort of bring in the dinner table, if you can. How did that play into your life?
Okay, I'll just say this. I remember that we always had dinner together. Dad came home around 5:30 every day. At 5 o'clock, my mother would go upstairs to the bathroom, comb her hair, put lipstick on, and then come down. And once I asked her, I said, "Why do you do that?" She said, "Because he works with a lot of women." So anyway, every day, and then we probably sat down around 6 o'clock. Dinner was always all of us together. And it was like everybody talked about their day.
I don't remember that. Oh, I do remember though that on Mondays, we would have like soup. On Tuesday, we would have macaroni. On Wednesday, we would have chicken. On Thursday, we would have macaroni. On Friday, fish.
No, yeah, or
Sometimes pizza,
Pizza, homemade
fish,
pizza.
homemade pizza.
Wow.
Saturday, steak, and Sunday, pasta.
Macarons.
And meatballs and sausage.
that's what we had. Sometimes we would, on Tuesday, when the butcher would get fresh calf's liver, we would have that, but we didn't like it.
We didn't like that. And sometimes like if I was eating the meat and it was like really tough, I would like chew and chew and chew and chew and chew, and that was not acceptable. So I would excuse myself, go to the bathroom, spit it out, and then come back in and pretend that no one knew where I was.
And
also-
Mary should be very familiar
You
with
also
that.
put it, used to chew it and put it around your dish, and it would be a perfect circle, all the chewed
Yeah.
meat that you
I don't
digest.
remember
that.
It was like a wreath.
That was
I
disgusting.
must have been out of the house by then. I'd like to talk about Sunday dinner though.
What was Sunday dinner?
Well, Sunday started, the first thing, we always went to church. And when we came back from church, there was always a big pot of sauce on the stove with meat. Grandma had fried all the meatballs. And before she would put them in the sauce, we would gobble them up like, and she kept saying, "Stop eating them, there's not gonna be any left."
That was the best way.
And it was like every Sunday was almost the same. And Grandpa would be in the living room with his radio on, tuned to some kind of opera, reading the New York Times.
You have to remember about the New York Times was, he had it reserved at the store on Eastchester Road, Palumbo's, I think it was called.
No, it wasn't that. Started with a P though.
Yeah, and one of us had to go pick up his reserved New York Times every Sunday morning. Because it was had Narcissi written on the top.
I
And
don't
we,
remember that.
yeah,
Oh, I do.
we did that.
What was the name of that store?
I thought, well, I don't remember, Palero's, something like that.
Polero.
Polero.
Yeah.
And we had to pick up his Sunday Times. And then we didn't really care about the Times because my uncle next door had the
Yeah.
Sunday Daily News, which had all the comics.
Oh, and you weren't allowed to read comics, right?
We could read them, but we couldn't buy them. Like we could go to visit,
Read them someplace else in somebody else's house.
but that, yeah, because you continue with Sunday dinner, Tina.
Well, anyway, that was basically that's my memory of Sundays. And then, of course, eventually we'd sit down to our regular dinner with all fewer meatballs because we had already eaten a whole bunch. But
Yeah, who came to Sunday dinners?
I'm sorry.
Who came to Sunday dinners?
Basically, us unless we had company.
But
which
Aunt
was
Mary
Sunday.
lived right down the street. A lot of times we ate together.
And Aunt Tana and Uncle Tony lived next door, and Uncle Charlie and Aunt Sadie lived up the block. So at one time, there were 4 families within a radius of half a block.
O'Neill and
And on
Antoinette.
holidays, we were always either at Aunt Mary's or Aunt Mary's was at our house.
We used to fight.
Antoinette and O'Neill.
And also in Mary, Uncle Jerry, and the 3 kids lived in our house for 2.5 years, I think, right? From 51 to 53. And then they bought the house about 5 houses down. So we knew them intimately.
So that's a
Uh,
different time than when Aunt Frances lived there, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that was
Francis-
way, when we were.
And
the-
Francis lived there from 1940 to 47.
No,
Okay.
41, no,
I'm
no.
sorry, not 40, because they bought the house
We
in
didn't move
44.
into that house until
44.
41. No, we bought the house in 41.
Oh, was it?
I-
Okay.
I was a baby. I think
Oh.
Aunt Frances moved around 1944 after she
Mm.
got divorced
Yeah.
with my cousin Anthony and Joey downstairs.
What do we used to call them?
Gugu and Nino.
Yeah.
But getting back to Sunday dinner, we would also, for breakfast, we'd have crumb buns and jelly donuts from the local bakery every Sunday.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember that.
Who picked those up?
Grandpa.
Grandpa, I think.
But
used to-
didn't we used to go with Anthony Vitale to go
That
to
was
the
later, Hungarian.
the
We
Hungarian?
went to the Hungarian bakery on White Plains
Okay.
Road. They were related to Steve and Edie
Yeah,
Gourmet.
Steve Lawrence and Edie Gourmet.
Yeah, but that's
That was-
after you drove.
Yeah, we drove, yes, when Anthony, Bobby and I went to church every Sunday, and then we'd alternate. One Sunday would be at Anthony's house, one at mine, one at Bobby's, after
Right.
we bought the donuts. I mean, after we bought the, whatever it was.
Yeah, that was when you
Buns.
guys were older.
Yeah,
Tina
we-
wasn't around.
Yeah,
then.
we were all, yeah, Tina
I
was
missed
married.
out on that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, Uncle Richie, do you remember this? Because you were younger.
The donuts?
Yeah, like what they're talking about.
Yes, I was
Okay.
allowed into that group reluctantly, but I forced myself in.
or did you? I don't remember.
Do you remember the meatballs cooking and mom cooking?
I
I remember, yeah, she always made brajol,
Yeah.
Yeah.
brajol with the help,
The sausage.
which helped the flavor and
And
sausage.
she made it every single week. She didn't make it like and freeze it like we do. She would make it big pot for the week.
Yeah, she didn't buy rails like I did.
No.
Yeah, she made her own sauce.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
cooked.
So that was Sunday's dinner.
Did you guys help with the cooking or grandma did it all?
Oh, she used to say, watch. That's how you learn. Because I had a friend up the street, Bunny Gatsky, and her mother used to let her do everything, you know, like anything she wanted to do in the kitchen. And I said, well, Bunny's mother lets her do it. She goes, you just watch. So one day I begged and begged because I wanted to, I ate mac and cheese at Bunny Gatsky's house. You know, with, you know what mac and cheese is.
Right.
We never had that growing up. So I begged my mother once to let me make it. I was probably like the 7th or 8th grade. So she finally gave in, and that was the dinner. When my father came home, he said, what's this nyanya? And he wouldn't eat it. I was crushed.
Well, because he was,
It didn't have red sauce on
well,
it.
Grandpa was a fine cook.
You could boil water.
He couldn't boil water.
No, yeah, there was an
You can burn
instance
water.
when grandma went away once, I forget, for maybe a shower or something. And grandpa and I were home, and we had to cook. So we looked at the box of macaronis. Grandma made the sauce. Okay, how long do you warm up boil the macaroni? Said 8 minutes or something. Because we were too stupid enough to try it after 8 minutes. So after 8 minutes, we put it in. It was like hard as a rock. Of course, neither one of us could admit that it was incorrect. So we both ate it.
And Daddy didn't,
They
Grandpa didn't like
probably
it.
timed 8 minutes
Yeah.
from the time they poured it in, not let it come to a boil or anything.
Right.
Talk about al dente.
And he hated it al
And he-
dente.
and Grandpa
Poppy always liked it al dente, right?
wanted it schwapped.
He
That
hated
was the
it.
word he used.
Schwat.
It's like, it's cooked like yuck.
Yeah,
So, anyway.
that was Grandpa's cooking venture.
And Grandma was the same way about, she didn't want, we would try to learn how to sew from her, because she was a seamstress, she would make a lot of our clothes. And if we tried, no, I tried, I don't know about you, did you try to
Oh,
sew?
yeah, yeah.
We would try to do it, she said, no, here, let me do it, this is how you do it.
Watch, that's how you
So I
learn.
never learned how to sew from her. Aunt Dana, on the other hand, lived right next door, and she was also a seamstress, but she let me sometimes,
Do.
she showed me what to do, and I actually did it.
Hmm.
Not well, because even though it said you had to have, 3/8 of an inch seam, I said 1/2 an inch is good. An inch is good. It doesn't matter. And nothing
Enough.
matched.
Still an eighth of an inch
But
off.
that's how you learn.
So how, no, how long were they there for you? Like, how long were they next door?
Oh, forever.
Yeah,
They would move there together. They bought the houses together at the
Okay.
same time.
And he would drive us to, the subway, right? Uncle Tony would drive us to the
When we
subway.
were older, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think he even
He
drove
drove me
Annie,
every day.
drove Annie to school, I think.
He didn't drive me, good dad drove me to,
Yeah.
me and Janice Sapola to, Mount St. Ursula.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, this is after I graduated. I went to work.
Oh.
He drove me to the train station every
Oh.
day. Yep.
And then
They-
who were,
who moved first?
They did.
They moved to Florida, I think, right? Did
They
they?
moved to Florida after Daddy bought the condo.
Oh, okay.
That's when they
so
moved.
you grew up with your cousins then, right next door?
Yes.
Yes.
Who were their kids? Who were Uncle Tony and Aunt Anna's kids?
Well, Uncle Tony, who's married to Uncle Jerry's sister Ursula,
Okay.
that's Uncle, we called him Junior growing up. All our lives, we
Mm.
called him Junior.
He didn't like that.
He didn't like, well, once he got married, that was the end of Junior. And Joseph, Joey, was their older son. And unfortunately, he got married and moved to Florida. Unfortunately, he was murdered at a very young age. He was a young
In his
father.
50s, yeah.
Yeah,
He had 5 kids. Yeah, it was a very sad story.
yeah.
He was in the Marines, I think.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, I have a story about when he was in the Marine. He joined the Marines. I was like maybe 10 years old, and we had a front porch, and it overlooked the 2 driveways. And I said, "It's so terrible." I said, "You joined the Marines, you're gonna die."
Oh my God.
Because it was the Korean War. I don't know what was going on. I just said, "And you're gonna die."
How old were you? when
I
you
don't
said
know,
that?
maybe 9, 10 years old.
Oh, okay.
What did he
That's
say?
comforting.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I was saying something so terrible. I think maybe after I said it, I might have realized it. But when I heard like he joined the Marines, like if you're in the army or something, you're gonna die. You know, that's what I thought. I lived right after World War II, so that was probably fresh in my
She
mind.
just meant to say, be careful.
But I didn't say. I said you're gonna die. I'll never forget. I was like,
Way to come in there and help there, Uncle Rich.
Yeah, I have a question. Did you were expected to be at Sunday dinner, right? Or at dinner every night? Like, were you ever not?
We really never had that much going on
When
that
you
we
lived
wouldn't
there.
be at
We
dinner.
lived in the city. We didn't have anything.
We didn't do, we went to school, we came home, we did our homework, we went outside to play. We'd go
All our
outside.
friends were on our street.
Yeah.
We had a lot of friends.
Then it was
It was a
dinner.
real neighborhood.
Yeah, it was different. It was totally different than today.
We played stickball a
Yeah.
lot, and then when the stickball was over, that's when you had to go in and have
Dinner.
Yeah.
dinner. And during, was it May when you said the rosary a lot?
Oh,
Yeah,
October.
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 So I would be playing stickball and I'd get all sweaty, and then I'd go in and my mother would yell at me for being sweaty. And then it was time to say the rosary because it was October. So we sat around and there was this little statue
Which
of,
I still have,
of-
by the way. I
of the-
took it from Noni's
of the
house.
Blessed Virgin Mary, which we would kneel around and say the rosary, but I was still sweaty. So that was a problem.
Because October was the month of Mary, it was called.
Okay.
It was in the middle of
That
the
was,
Holy Road.
that was my question.
And we all went to Catholic school, so it was the family that prays together, stays
Stays together.
together, was the motto back then. So for the month, and then this is with Aunt Mary and Uncle Jerry and their kids. So every night, one different kid would do the different mysteries.
What does that
I think
mean?
Aunt Dan and Uncle Tony were there too.
I
I
know.
definitely remember Aunt Dan. I don't know about Uncle Tony.
I just remember sweating.
I don't,
See, I don't remember that.
I don't
part.
I
remember.
don't remember sweating.
So when we were always there for dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And then Tina, when she got older, then she had a job after school, or I don't know where she. I don't know.
Burns?
No. This was like when she was at Vinmore. She was never home when she was older. She was always either at school or working, so she missed a lot. I think.
She got chipped.
God bless you, dear.
Aunt Teresa, you disagree with that?
Well, that's probably right.
Well,
I was older. I mean, I was the oldest. I was
She-
4 years older than.
She didn't
I-
like my orange room.
There was between myself and Annie, there's 16 years. So we're talking about like a generation almost. Yeah. So there was a lot, I was ahead of them a little bit, especially the boys too.
Yeah, she didn't really like the boys. She didn't play with them.
We used to sing, you know what we used to sing 2 weeks before she got married?
Uh-oh.
The herald angels shout, 2 more weeks and she'll be out.
How do you think that made me feel?
That's so cruel.
Yeah, that's how they felt, but she was always yelling and mean to everybody.
Not.
So,
I don't know about that.
I
but-
was not mean to everyone. I remember Grandma and Grandpa went to Italy.
Oh, yeah, you took care of us.
Yes, when I was
1962.
newly married and had to move in and take care of them.
Yeah.
And
With
do
Uncle
all the
Jerry?
laundry, Do
With
all
Uncle Jerry.
And Uncle Jerry let us whitewash the walls in the garage.
And you know who else was down there when that 5 weeks they were gone? I think Joanne Tarantino and Vinny came because they used to come down for about 2 weeks in the summer.
Oh, so
And
I
I
had
think-
all these people
And I
to
think
take
they
care
were
of.
there. I'm pretty sure.
oh, I
Big
know. They weren't
responsibility.
there.
No? All right,
Wait,
then I-
Grandma and Grandpa went to Italy for 5 weeks?
Oh, I have another story
Yeah,
about.
5 weeks.
of
Wait,
how-
hey, let's. Oh, I just wanted to back up. That's a long time. They went just to visit people?
Yeah.
We went on vacation.
went to-
First,
they went
they
to
went
5
to
weeks.
I don't
Paris.
think there were 5 weeks.
No.
Yeah, it was 5 weeks. I'm telling
They
you.
were in Italy for 5
No,
weeks.
first they went to Paris and they met Joey and
That's
Ann.
true.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was 5
And
weeks.
then they went to Lourdes.
5 weeks.
I think
And
I
then they
went
went to Italy.
But
And they were there 5 weeks because he got a special vacation. He was there for a while.
Oh, I didn't
Okay.
And they flew, Aunt Mary and Uncle Jerry, because Aunt Mary was afraid to fly, took a boat, the Cristoforo Colombo.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I was working.
And they were gone, I'm telling you, it was 5
Well,
weeks.
no wonder why I feel so
Wow.
abandoned.
What?
No wonder why I feel so abandoned. That 5 weeks is a long time.
How old were Uncle Richie? How old were you?
Well, I was already working, so I had.
He was 12,
Maybe, yeah, like.
because it was
Oh,
I think I was
1962.
married. I think I was
You
married.
were married, it
Yeah,
was
so-
1962.
Yeah,
There
so
you go,
I was-
You were married and you took, you
So I
came
was,
to take care
I
of
was
us.
11.
And I
would be
worked in
12
the
when I
city. I worked in the
You
city.
were Rahel
Yeah, I was at.
How
my
old was Annie?
Annie was,
Born in 54.
And he was 8.
8 years old.
Wow. And Teresa, you
That's-
did a lot.
Yeah, that was
Well, I
nice.
have another story that I just remembered about growing up. Every 4 or 5 weeks, my grandfather, who was my father's father, was a barber. And he would come on Tuesday, maybe every 4 weeks. I'm not really sure about the time, 4 or 5 weeks on a Tuesday. And he would come, I think he came by bus because he didn't drive. And he would line up, all the boys got haircuts in the garage.
In the garage.
And by the boys, I mean my father, Tommy and Richie, Uncle Jerry, Bobby Judice, Billy Judice, Uncle Tony next door,
All
and
the kids.
his boys. They all got haircuts. That was, and then he had dinner with us. And it was like, how's Margaret? Oh, she got another operation. She is so
She
sick.
lost another tooth.
So it was never, she was never like a well person. And then my father or Uncle Tony would drive him home later on. But that was a ritual. I go, oh, Grandpa, see, and he'd go, how do you go? Move your head.
Yeah, we
It
just,
wasn't very
He
nice.
wasn't very warm.
he,
in cuddling.
Wasn't warm and fuzzy.
wasn't warm and fuzzy getting a haircut. I hated it. I hate getting haircuts to this day. I avoid them. You can see my hair is long.
That's all I do.
I don't know. I was traumatic or something. And then every once in a while, when he give us a haircut in the garage, he turn around. There were 2 plates in the garage, and you moved the
Your
plate. There
drains.
were drains. He would pee in it. And we found that disgusting. because, you know,
Posterity has to know that.
Well,
Take that out.
That's a good one.
well, you can edit it.
By the way,
Oh.
are you taping this or
I'm
recording?
recording it, yeah, but we're gonna edit it when we put it together, but
Oh,
I
I
am.
don't think you should take that out at all because they.
Oh, no, we'll leave that in. That's
All
good
right, I
stuff.
don't care.
Okay, what else?
You can take out the pee-pee part. if you
No,
want.
but if you do ever say something and you realize, oh, we probably don't want to, just let us know.
Okay.
No, that's,
Well, that.
that's okay. He's not even here to
We're
defend
just,
himself.
That's funny. I think that's funny.
Yeah, I
So-
think, yeah.
We would
So
also
what's
go
the-
visit, we would go visit Grandpa and Margaret on a Sunday morning. My father would bring us. And it was obviously not a very pleasant thing. And even my father would admit he was only there because
a
he
sense of
felt
duty.
obligated as a duty to go see his
It
father.
wasn't like he loved his father. It was an obligation.
Right.
And then after my grandfather died, my grandfather lived into his 90s. And after he died, see, Margaret was always the contentious part of the family there because she was like the Wicked Witch from Cinderella. So after my grandfather died, his Uncle Tony, Aunt Annie, and Aunt Frances, who were the siblings, always gave Margaret money every month or whatever. And I said to my father once, I said, why do you do that? She was so mean to you. Why do you do that? And he just felt it was the right thing to do. And I never forgot that.
So what is it? Can you back up a little bit and just give us a little bit of history of like why Margaret is even in the family? Like what happened there?
Okay, so Grandpa was 11 years old when his mother died, and she left 6 children.
And how did she die? Do we know?
She
Yeah.
had
Tuberculosis.
Consumption, which
Yeah,
they call it
probably.
consumption then.
probably tuberculosis. So she was young. So it was Aunt Frances, Uncle Tony, then my father. So my father was 11. Then it was Aunt Annie, and there were 2 other boys, Albert and Nicky.
All right.
So that's the children. So my father was 11, his mother died. My grandfather was a barber. He had all these kids now. He worked. Who was going to take care of them? So actually, Nicky and Albert were put in St. Dominic's up here as like an orphanage type thing. Because the only reason I know it is because through my ancestry, I found them on the census record. And I showed it to my father, and he goes, yeah, he remembered vaguely that they were there for a while, not for a long time, but they were there. So anyway, he was going to go back to Italy to find somebody to marry. And then somebody said, no, the Terranovas, they have a daughter, blah, 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 blah. So they introduced him to Margaret. She wasn't a Terranova. The Terranovas were a friend of the family. She was I forgot her last name. It started with a C. Anyway, so they introduced her.
Satan. I think it was.
They introduced her to Margaret.
That's another-
Meantime, it was a very nice family, a good family, but unfortunately, she was a little.
She had, but her elevator didn't go to the top
She
floor.
wasn't all there. She
He was
wasn't very.
cruel.
Black sheep.
Yeah, she was very mean to the kids, and
And two,
Aunt Danny ended up living in Brooklyn because she was so cruel to her.
yeah.
That's another long
That was
story.
a
Two
kid
brothers
that-
died.
she-
2 boys, younger
two
boys
boys,
died.
Nicky,
Nicky died at 17 years old, and he died from peritonitis that he had appendicitis. But she didn't believe he was sick, so maybe if he went to the hospital sooner, maybe he would have lived. Who knows? We don't really know. And the other one died because he was overcome by fumes by working in an illegal still.
distillery, yeah.
How old was he? So in his 20s?
20,
He was-
21.
Yeah, he
something
was
like
young too.
that. That was Albert.
Yeah. So
Oh.
anyway, my father slept on many a park bench. He ended up living with Aunt Sadie.
He tried to throw her out the window once.
Yeah, he
You
almost
know that
killed her.
story,
He
right?
almost
Oh,
killed
wait,
her.
Uncle Tom, let's hear that one.
Well, he came home, he was going to college. He went to college for about 6 months.
Because he was going to be a doctor.
You're gonna, yeah.
He went to CCNY.
Yeah, so he came home and there was no dinner ready, so, and he said, where's dinner? Maggie, or I don't know what she said.
She goes, you got to wait for your father
Oh,
to
yeah.
come home.
Yeah, right, so Grandpa got so mad,
Because he was going
he was
out.
gonna throw her out the window. But on the way to the window, there was a gas stove, so he put her on the gas stove and burned her coolie.
No, I don't
No,
think
he
it's
didn't.
on.
No, it wasn't on.
He was
Yeah.
just- Just on the way there,
Oh.
it was a convenient dropping off
Was
point.
either drop her out or put her on the
All right,
stove.
but you have to admit, my story's got a little more color.
Yeah, but we don't really think the stove was
All
on.
right,
But,
here I thought the
but it was
stove
a
was on.
longer argument. It wasn't just
Yeah.
that fast. He wanted his dinner. He said, I have to go out. And she would not give him his dinner until his father came home. So that's when, and then he never came back
He
home.
never
after-
came back.
He never came back home after
And
that.
she
lived
yelled
with
out
Aunt
the
Sadie.
window that he was trying to kill her.
And that's when he became a good cook.
Yeah. So he never came home after that. He
Oh,
lived with
wow.
Aunt Sadie. Yeah.
Okay. And then Aunt Sadie was his dad's sister?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And Aunt Sadie is the mother of Tina and Limey.
Linda Acuity,
Limey.
you know.
Oh,
Linda-
Tina, like Tina and Willie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mhm.
That's
Tina was
that-
Aunt Sadie's daughter.
And they had
Oh.
another son, Louis, who was murdered.
Boy, a lot of murder in the family.
There
Yeah,
is a lot of murder.
They
We don't know
never
why.
solved the crime,
we-
it might have
yeah.
been gambling or
Yeah,
something.
it has something to do with the
They
rackets.
found him in an alley, the grandpa had to go and identify the body,
This
if
was
I
Aunt-
remember
this was Aunt
correctly.
Sadie's son?
Yeah.
Aunt Sadie's son,
Yeah.
Lewis, his name was, wasn't it?
Yes,
Louis.
Louis,
Yeah.
I
yeah.
don't think I even knew that.
No, yeah,
Yeah, I knew it, but,
So,
Now it's recorded. Now
Yeah.
everybody knows it.
yeah. But we don't, I've tried looking it up and, I can never, there's no history about it.
well, there's grandpa had a cousin, Victor, he was in the,
Rackets.
he was in the rackets, he was in the mob.
He wasn't a made man.
No, he wasn't he did gambling. in the
Maybe
club.
he killed Lewis.
No, he didn't.
No,
No, he
he
would not.
didn't.
Grandpa always said he'd give you the shirt off his back. And then Victor, I'll give you an example. When Grandpa died, Victor came to
Our grandpa.
our grandpa's father.
Father,
So your great grandpa. When he died, Victor came and visited, paid his respects, and he had two of his
Bodyguards.
bodyguards there. Was Butchie said two of his torpedoes.
Hmm.
So Victor signs the book, Victor, and then these two guys signed the book, Victor's friends.
And they always gave
And
money.
they gave money.
See, back then, when somebody died, you always gave money
okay.
because you had to help pay for the funeral. So Victor had a $50 bill, which back then was a lot of
I don't
money.
remember that.
Oh, I do,
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember that.
And
yeah.
then Victor's, one of them was Danny Basilone.
Oh, I know him.
Tina knows him.
Yeah.
That sounds like
One
a
of the bodyguards?
mob.
Yeah, one of them was Danny.
How does
Basilone.
Tina know him?
Because he
Because-
used to hang out across from the Chateau Travel.
Yeah.
When I was working at the travel agency.
Oh, Lane is here.
Delaney.
Hi, we're doing our interview.
Hi, Laner. So who else is there? Uncle Jerry's there too? Did I hear him?
On
Yeah,
the
he's
side
here.
there.
Oh, that's
And Aunt
good.
Pam is there too?
What?
Is Aunt Pam there too?
No, no.
Now she's babysitting Javi.
Oh, okay. I thought Javi was coming.
Okay, do you have any other questions?
Well, yeah, I think that was great. The other thing we were kind of curious about was what it looked like when you guys got in trouble. Like who got in trouble for what?
I never got in trouble.
For real?
Pretty good kids.
I
really.
can tell you, I remember getting hit 3 times from my father. Once I locked Richie in the closet.
When you
One-
say
and
hit
tw-
is one swipe.
And yeah, I'm sorry, a hit. And when the other time I remember he hit me, and about 10 minutes later he
Oh,
apologized.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's the only time, he was not that, he was strict in the sense
But he
that
was a soft.
he was very authoritative, but he didn't really hit the kids.
Yeah.
Now, I lived across the street from a friend of mine. He used to get the hell beat out of him. It was horrible.
Anthony.
Anthony Vitale.
But my father, if he did hit you, he'd always come up and apologize and tell him about what he used to do to your face.
Oh, yeah, well,
Oh,
at
this.
night when we
Yeah.
went to sleep,
Did this.
we would say, do this to us. And he
You
would,
like this, like do nice.
do nice, do nice.
Like
I remember
this?
one time
So we go to sleep.
Grandma and I were having an argument about something, and he was trying to sleep on the couch. And I guess we raised our voices, and he woke up and did not like that. And he actually hit me, but not hard.
Right.
I guess I startled him or whatever. He felt so bad afterwards that he came and he apologized and he went like that.
Do this.
Yeah, I don't think I ever remember getting hit.
I mean, it wasn't even
But
hit.
you
I
never
mean,
did anything
it was
wrong,
so
right?
shocking because he never ever hit us.
He
I
had,
wouldn't call that hit. I mean, I didn't hit my kids harder than that.
I remember also when we were little, when he would come home, when after dinner, he would go read the newspaper. He'd be like in a reclining position, and he had a lot of hair. I would comb his hair, and I would put bows in it.
He let us.
He let us do all that stuff. And he would go, "Hey, Nina, come and see how pretty I look."
Then he look at the mirror and go, ah!
So Aunt Teresa, do you remember like what did you and Grandma fight about? Like
Oh, it was probably something
Mhm.
silly. I don't remember.
Silly,
I mean, it was just, I don't know. It wasn't, you couldn't be too disrespectful to either one of them because you would get it from either one. It was just not an option. You just didn't do it.
So here's an example, like when it was bedtime. So my father would be on a chair in the living room reading, and we had to go to bed. So if for any, I mean, basically when it came to be that time, bedtime, he would simply say, march. And we'd have to like basically march up to bed. I mean, that was it. He said march, we marched.
That was the bedtime routine.
I remember that.
Well, it wasn't all that fuzzy, warm and fuzzy. It was mostly March.
Oh, I remember March.
I remember March
I didn't remember that.
I don't
I remember April.
distinctly.
So now, Uncle Tommy, why did you lock Uncle Richie in the closet?
Because I was a dick, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It was a boys thing, I was young, he was like maybe 3 or 4, so I was, what, 7?
Oh, you're little.
It's brother stuff, you know.
It scarred me.
Yeah, he's claustrophobic to this day.
Richie was
So-
very cute as a baby. Aunt Mary and Uncle Jerry used to live downstairs in the basement. They had the whole. Richie was in the high chair, and he used to call them Congo Gary and Auntie Mary. Congo Gary
Congo Gary.
was Uncle Jerry
Auntie Airy or something?
and Auntie Airy. And he was so cute as a little kid. He really was a cute baby.
I'm still cute.
Yeah,
Hey, look at the family pictures that I told you about that I would put on DVD. You
Yes.
see, Uncle Richie was really cute. Annie was of course, the star of the show. But Uncle Richie
So
was really
was
cute.
was Annie raised differently, do you think?
yeah, I
And you
raised
guys?
her. I took care of her a lot.
Why? What was Grandma doing, Mama?
She got away with a lot.
She got away with a lot more than Aunt Teresa did.
Yeah, you
They
figure
were very strict
I'll
about
tell you,
boys.
this is
Grandma was almost 40 years old when she had Annie. She was 39. She's going to be 40 in October. Annie was born in June. And let me tell you, she had, she had 5 kids home. And she didn't really, I really took care of her a lot. Not when I was not in school, but after school, I just took care of her a lot.
I think Mommy, what did she do with her finger in the?
She put her
Oh,
finger in the
yeah,
washing
that's a good
machine.
story,
Yeah.
Tina. That's
Oh,
a
what
great
happened?
In those days, they had the washing machine with the rollers to wring
To ring the clothes.
to wring out the clothes.
story.
So after you would have to get the clothes out of the washing machine and stick them through the wringer. That would take all the water out. And Grandma was
We were in school. We came home. It was blood
she
all
put her
over.
she put her hand in there. Her finger got caught, and make a long story short, she eventually got an infection, but she couldn't use that hand for a long time. She couldn't do anything.
Yeah, but you have to tell the story. When we came,
And I think you had to
we used
take
to
care
come
of
home for lunch. We came home for lunch and we came home and there was blood all over. Because she had her whole hand bled a lot. We were so scared. I remember that.
Yeah, I had to do a lot then. How old was
I think
We
that
were,
was.
we were in elementary school.
So I did a lot.
It was when
because I was
Tommy
the
was
oldest.
born.
I was born, I was 6 months old,
It was
that's when it happened.
1947.
I was obviously abandoned and that's why I turned out. the
And I
way
had to
did.
change diapers. I had to do a lot.
I was missing maternal love.
Come to think of it, I had to do a lot. I had to take care of you guys for 5 weeks and Mom was in Italy.
Yeah.
Well, I still can't get over it. It was fine.
I don't think you ever had so much fun in your life.
And Teresa, I'm starting
We
to
had a lot of
understand.
parties.
I'm starting to understand why the
I
80s
grew up.
the 80s were a
Well, we
blur.
didn't hear-
What'd you say, Mary?
I was saying I'm starting to understand why the 80s were a blur for you.
The 70s. That's
Or
what
the
it-
70s and the 80s. The 70s,
She had a lot
80s.
going on.
It was a blur. It
This
was a
was
blur.
the 60s though.
This
So
was
this was the 50s.
this was like the 50s.
No, the 60s.
Yeah, she was having flashbacks.
It was the late
No, when
40s.
Mom was in Italy, but
When
when
Mommy heard a hint, it was the late
Yeah,
Late
40s.
yeah, but
40s.
1947.
yeah,
And what happened was Grandpa was so upset. He bought the washing machine from Mr. Monaco down the street, who had an appliance store. He sent the washing machine back. He made a come and take the washing machine back.
all bloody with all the
He
blood.
wanted it out of the house. Yeah,
Really? Oh,
yeah, I remember that.
How
Yeah.
could I remember? I was 6 months old.
and she got
And
the
then-
infection. Dr. Scalzo took care of her.
Yes,
He wasn't our doctor, and we didn't think he was a very
It was
good
an
doctor.
emergency, and we had a doctor that lived down the street, and she got an infection, and he didn't prescribe a antibiotic for her. Finally, Dr. Citron gave her penicillin.
I
She
don't-
was pretty. She was pretty.
She was in bad shape.
bad
She-
shape.
She was in bad
Do you
shape.
know who Dr. Citron was?
His name is familiar.
He delivered
was
all
up-
of you.
He was
Okay,
up-
that's why. Okay.
He delivered them.
We delivered
Okay.
Carolyn and Greg, not Eddie and Teresa.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
We had moved by
Yeah,
then.
He would make home, he would visit us at home.
Huh?
Never leave.
Yeah.
He would make visits at home and he'd stay, and he didn't drive.
And he had a cigar.
So what happened was, then what he would do was, then Grandpa would drive him to the next person he had to go visit. If he was on the street walking, people would see him,
Pick them up and bring
they
them.
would pick him up because they knew who he was. And, take him to wherever he had to go. He took 1 day vacation his whole life.
He didn't drive because he was in a big car accident once. That was why.
And he
didn't.
smoked a cigar, so sometimes we'd come home and say,
Who's
I
sick?
smell Dr. Citron.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we
So he-
weren't used to cigars
We would
smell,
go, who's,
except for him.
who's sick? Who's
Yeah.
sick?
So
But
he
if
would
we
come to
ever
the
did have
house
to go to the
anytime.
office-
Yeah, he came to the house.
We came to the house, but if we did have to go to the office, we would get into his office, the waiting room.
There was
You'd
no
have-
appointment.
There'd be
No
like
appointment.
100 people in the waiting room.
You just have to
You'd
wait.
have to wait forever. And
Oh,
then
God.
he talked and talked and talked. So you were waiting a long time.
You sure were.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So back to the trouble. So you guys just you didn't get into trouble. Nobody got caught doing anything.
Well, Rich, tell about what about Joan Baez?
Well, that was when I was like, after I met Pam, because she was Irish, that was a problem. She said, "Oh, wow,
No,
you
Jerry
were
was
Irish."
Jerry before you.
Yeah,
you met
but
Irish.
she
I was the first white man in the family.
Mom didn't like the Irish. So
Daddy, how about Mom didn't like Daddy?
Yeah.
he didn't like the Irish. I thought Mom didn't.
Well,
like
you
the
know
Irish.
the story, when they were kids, they moved to, this is, I don't know, maybe they were teenagers. They moved to 138th Street with another Italian family. There were about 8 Italian families in one house. On the one side, this is 138th Street. One side was all Irish, the other side was all Jewish. Every day he got beat up by the Irish. He never got beat up by the Jews.
Who
They didn't fight.
That's why Grandpa was never an anti-Semite.
Interesting. Well, anyway, so it came time to.
I didn't like the Irish.
It came time for, I don't know. I wanted to.
Go to the Joan Baez concert.
Was it a Joan Baez concert that I
Yeah,
wanted to go to?
yeah.
So he said I couldn't go because she was like a liberal
Communist.
communist. So is that when I wanted to like leave?
Yeah, you wanted to move out.
So then I wanted to move out. So I moved. I went to Pam's house for like a day.
Right,
It wasn't
Did you miss your house?
Gentili came
Anthony
over.
Gentili came to like talk me out of it.
That's Joey and Angela's
Yeah.
husband, Joey's
Yeah.
father.
Joey's dad.
Because he had the utmost respect for grandpa and
Right.
grandma. I mean, they were like his, that was his father, really.
Mhm.
But he would do anything for grandma and grandpa. So he came over and he was the
To make the
mediator.
peace.
Right.
So good, Richie. Then you came home.
Yeah, I came home. Joan Baez is still out there, by the way. Still
You didn't
doing
make
well.
it to the concert.
No, I wasn't allowed. And then there was this other time, Pam loves this one. There was this other time maybe because of that, I got grounded to the point where I'm like in college, right? And I get grounded and my father says, you gotta be home by sunset. So I'm with
He just told us.
so I'm with my friends and everybody's looking at their watch because the sun is coming down. And I said, guys, I'm sorry, I have to leave. It's almost sunset. Yeah, it was like 8 o'clock at night, so I had to be home. And I swear when he said it, he wasn't thinking properly. So he
Right.
just said the first thing that came to his mind, you gotta be home by sunset.
Probably because it's sunrise. Make more sense if it was sunrise.
Anyway, that was embarrassing, but what are you gonna do?
Well, we all had our embarrassing moments.
That was all because they loved us and they, wanted us to be good.
Well, they were strict. They were
They were
strict about
strict. They
you.
were very
They were
When you
strict,
were
like
dating.
we were, like all our friends used to hang out like at candy stores, something like that when we were younger.
Street corner.
We were not allowed to do that. We couldn't go because he goes, you're looking for trouble. He always thought the trouble would start there. So we weren't allowed to do that.
And also no comic books.
Yeah, we couldn't buy them, but we could go to my cousin Henry or Butchie's house and read all that we wanted. We were allowed, but we couldn't buy them.
We could go to Connecticut and shoot, and Donnie's neighbor, she had comic books and we would get them from her apartment, come out, bring them over.
Uncle
to
Mario
us.
had girly books.
When we went to Uncle Mario, it wasn't comic books.
Yeah.
He had magazines with nude girls in it.
Yeah,
And
that
that's
was
what
like,
we were interested
that
in.
was like, whoa, what is
I
this?
didn't even know
Yeah,
that.
he had them in the bathroom. We'd go, hi, Uncle Mario.
Oh,
Hi,
you're
Grandpa.
great.
I gotta go to the bathroom.
So that's Anne Francis and Uncle Mario you're talking about.
That's
Okay.
Richie's father.
Richie's
Yeah.
father.
But talk about being strict. We just told the story the other day. I was the oldest, and I really had no freedoms at all. When I was graduated from grammar school, I was 14,
Oh, yeah.
and I wanted to know if I could wear lipstick. And I mean, all my friends are wearing lipstick and everything else that goes with it. And finally, Grandpa said, "Okay, you can wear lipstick when you graduate." So graduation day comes. I put on a dress that I had to make in home ec, except Grandma really made it. We would make our own graduation dresses. And I put on lipstick, and Grandpa took one look and he said, "Get upstairs and get that stuff off."
And you didn't,
Grandma interceded for me, and I was allowed to put it back on. But obviously, I put it on lighter because I didn't want to. But that's how tough it was. It was tough. Or like I remember going to grammar school, and a lot of the girls would have parties. They'd go to parties. They always invited me, and I'd say, "Oh, I can't. My grandmother's coming over tonight." "Oh, I can't. We're having a party at our house tonight." I always lied because I couldn't go.
Yeah, I had an incident like that in high school. One of my girlfriend's brothers wanted to take me out, and he wanted to bring me to the stock car races in Connecticut. So there's like no way my father's letting me get into a car with some young kid who's probably 17 years old and go to Connecticut to stock car races. So that was like, oh, I think my grandmother's coming that way. It wasn't. We wouldn't even go home and ask if we could.
It wasn't worth the effort.
It wasn't worth the effort. So then, fast forward a lot of years, and Andy's now a teenager, whatever. We go, "You're going where? You're letting you go?" She said, "Oh yeah, there's no problem." I don't believe it.
she said it too. That's her voice.
This is a story. I don't know if I've ever told the story, but probably.
Ooh.
Uncle Jerry and I were dating. We were going out, and we used to hang out with Mickey and Bob, Johanna and Billy, Jerry and I, and we went a lot of places together. We'd go to Bob's house down in Long Beach.
Long Beach.
Well, one time we were around, and we had gone to the movies or something, and then we'd go to somebody's house, either at Mary's house or our house afterwards, and we'd have like coffee or whatever. So we parked in front of our house
I remember this.
and walked to Aunt Mary's house. And we said, maybe there an hour or so. I came home. Jerry got in the car and went home. My mother's waiting for me, as livid as could be. How dare I be in that car the whole time? He thought I was in the car. So we're yelling now. "I wasn't in the car. I was at Aunt Mary's. You don't believe me? Because Grandpa got up. Grandpa heard all this. And he came downstairs. And he said, "What's going on?" We were in the basement. I'll never forget this, where we had this argument. And I said, "She said that I was in the car. I wasn't in the car. And I was at Aunt Mary's house." And blah, blah, blah. So I guess he must have believed me, because I don't know what happened, but that was the end of it. But I'll never forget that. Like, would I be stupid enough to be in the car in front of the house?
In front of the house.
Making out.
Yeah, that was.
You don't strike me that you were in the car.
I
Aunt
can
Teresa.
remember whenever I came home from a date and I would be coming home, no matter what time it was, you could see the
Venetian-
Venetian blinds would go up, would go like this. That's my mother looking out,
Yeah, she always waited for everybody.
waiting, making sure that
Everybody
everybody.
was home
got
safe.
home
Not my
safe.
father. My father went to bed, like all the fathers
Went to
do.
bed.
The mothers are the ones that waited up.
Did you guys talk to grandma? Like, would you tell her about your day and stuff? Like your date and all that?
Not much.
No.
No,
No, we didn't.
I would talk to my sister and I go, "Where'd you go last night? How much did you drink?" And she go, "Ma, tell her to leave me alone."
She's asking me 100 questions, 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning.
She was a grouch in the morning.
No.
Quiet.
Well, this was kind of what we wanted. So, I mean, do you want to, is there anything you guys want to add? What, Mom?
Any other questions?
Well, we have a bunch of questions, but we didn't want to, we thought like 45 minutes to an hour. And
Are we
then,
gonna repeat this and do another
I think that's
session?
good, because I have to be home by sunset.
and Aunt Teresa, I don't want you to get accused of being in a car somewhere. If you're not
Okay, I
home.
do have one more question though, like, so when you were raising your kids, like like, I'm just thinking of us, and I'm thinking of little Teresa, like, she was like the lawyer. Anytime we wanted somebody to sleep over, we would make her ask, and she wouldn't take no for an answer. Like, she would just go back at Uncle Jerry mostly, if I remember right. And Teresa Ann, and
But you have
But-
to remember one thing about Teresa, she's his baby.
yeah,
Wrong.
I will
Sure.
tell you something about what I wanted for my family. Like my family dinners growing up was very important, and I wanted to duplicate that in our family. But it never worked because your father always came home so late. So that's
I
why we
remember
always-
you being very mad at that too. I remember, and now it makes sense because
because he
dinner
would
was important.
say, "Yeah, I'll be home for dinner. I'll be home for dinner." And we ate late. We ate like 7 o'clock, sometimes 7:30, just so he would be there for dinner. But it just didn't work out the same. And because my memories were so happy of dinner time, I wanted that, and that didn't work out. But they love
And
it.
Uncle Tommy's haircuts, that makes sense now why you don't like a haircut. I remember when we went to Ireland to see where Sally grew up, and Michael used to complain, like as an adult, that they used to have to fix this rock wall in New Jersey in the back of the house every spring. The rocks would fall out, and Sally didn't ask for much, but she insisted all the boys fix the rock wall again. So they would keep fixing the rock wall every year. And when we went to see where she grew up, it's all rock walls, like all around her house. And I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense now, because they were so important to her. Like they reminded her of home, back home. And that's why that rock wall was so important. So like, Mom, when you talk about the dinner, and Uncle Tom, when you talked about your haircut, like it's interesting to see how, things that, yeah, like kind of, and like I wish we had known that about her before she passed, because it would have made us understand her better. That's just a silly little example, but I'm sure there were other things that, it made a lot more sense once we went to see where she came from, like why she loved the rain so much, why she loved the ocean. So this is so cool. That's kind of our goal, is to kind of get insight. Like we have the ancestry, we have the tree, we have all that, but you can't get all this from
The stories.
a piece of paper that has, who's related to who on it. So this is so cool. I love
So
it.
yeah, so we would love to do it again. It doesn't, if you all are able to get together, that's great. If you want to do it separately, we can do that too. We have lots of options.
Doing it together because you're kind of.
It is.
Each other's
Yeah, we
trigger the memories.
Yeah, I love it. You guys
We can
together.
talk about like related, or next time we can talk about how we met our mates or something,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
So,
And that's what-
most embarrassing stories.
And that's what we kind of wanted from you guys, is like, what,
Pathetic stories.
Yeah, we want you to generate the questions. Like we want to know what you.
I didn't hear you,
I
Mary.
didn't, what'd you say?
Mary?
No, I think like we want you to generate the questions more than us. Like we want to know that's great. Like embarrassing stories or how you met your mates. Like that's perfect. Like anything that you think would be cool. Like
Well, we're interested in your questions too.
Mhm.
because they were
Yeah.
very
well,
good
that's why we kind of figured we'd start off today with a couple and then just let the conversation go and see where you guys took it. And then we kind of have some follow-up questions that we've asked you that pop up based on what you say. But yeah, we don't have like a specific full agenda, but we do have we've got a bunch of questions in queue, but if there's stuff that Mary, well, we'll write that down. But as you think of stuff, even if you during the week, if you think of something that you want to talk about, just shoot us a text or email or something, or write it down. And then it's
Put it
just a
in your
matter of you
notes
guys, like how
in
often
your
do
phone.
you want to get together? Like when do you want to do it again? It's up to your guys' schedules when we can do it.
Yeah, well, you said when this worked out, you suggested a date, and we
Mhm.
made sure that we were available.
Okay.
I'm retired now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all retired.
Like maybe like every 2 weeks we could do it. I don't know if that's too much. Or...
Yeah, well, yeah.
And
How many?
Wednesdays is pretty good day because the girls play Mahjong Tuesday and Thursday.
They
I know.
We knew that. We worked around
Gotta
that.
work
And I get just like on Friday and whatever, Saturday.
And then we do want to get the in-laws
So
too.
maybe
Like,
we'll plan.
yeah, we want to hear from Uncle Jerry and Aunt Pam and Aunt Maria. We want to kind of get their side some days too. So,
Okay.
No, you don't want
All
to
right.
give them.
yes, we do, Uncle Jerry.
Yes.
Well, this was great, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time and doing this with us. We love you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being.
It was so good.
I think it's important important. I think it's.
I
great.
think it's wonderful that you're doing this, really.
Yeah, yeah. It's,
Are they recording you too?
yeah,
Yeah,
they're
that's
recording it. Yeah.
Yeah, then you
Is it
will
only at the
combine
house?
it with,
Oh.
I think I told you I have that, interview with grandma and grandpa.
Which
Yes.
was a sit down thing like this. We had a
So-
list of-
When I'll be up, Mary, you could either do it when you're up there, or I'll do it in the summer when I'm up there and I can get it from you. If I could just get the VHS, I don't know how to do DVD, but if you give me the VHS tape, I can-
I have the DVD of the interview. I don't think I have a VHS. I have a VHS of the home movies.
oh,
The home movies are the 8mm movies grandpa used to take.
okay.
but-
I can take your
Oh, no.
VHS and
they
put
go
it on
back
it.
to the 50s.
Yeah, but
Okay.
the interview is on a cassette
Oh,
player.
it's-
No,
A
Mary-
DVD.
Okay,
player.
Mary, we have to learn, we don't have that capability, I
Yeah,
don't think.
I'm
We're
thinking
working
that
on
I
it.
might be able, I think I have a computer that still has the DVD drive. I think I might be able to put it to the computer, then put it on a thumb drive, but I'll
Okay.
have to try.
We'll work on that. So if you could hang on to that for us, just
Yeah.
keep hanging on to it. We'll get it eventually and borrow it and burn it and then give it back.
Great.
Okay, girls.
Sounds good. Love you guys.
Love you guys. Thank
Bye.
you.
Love you. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye, love you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Sarah Barra.
Sarah Bear. I
That's
knew
what I
it.
call it.
That's pretty funny.
There's no hole in the garage.
That was exhausting.
That was fun. Okay, who wants to?
Please tell me that it's there. Oh no, where is it? Where's the recording? Oh my gosh, please tell me I did not do this.